Welcome to Noel's Good Friend Show. I'm your host, Noel. It's a show where I invite my friends to talk about friendship, how to meet new people, and how to be a good friend. I'm very excited for today's guest. He's somebody who I so lovingly call my gay mom. He's an evil Sagittarius, just like me, a mother of 3 pets, and a very, very good friend. Please welcome Brandon.
Woo! Woo!
Hello, welcome to the show, Brandon. Today's episode is called The Gays Need Friends. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how we met. I thought you and I's friendship is a unique case study for how we meet in, the modern day, because you and I met on a dating. Is there, what were your earliest memories of that time?
So, funny enough, I actually have met a lot of people via dating apps. Like, I don't know. I guess in this world of like being gay and trying to meet friends, like when I was, me, I'm not a dating app person as far as like hookups. Like it's never really been my thing. But I've been able to meet like some great, great friends between Jacked and Tinder. I don't do Grindr because, I'm
Mhm.
Black, but
The the demographic.
no, exactly.
Mhm.
But no, I think like at that time, I actually, funny enough, I think I was new to Tinder. And I guess technically, like, I picked you as a friend off of aesthetics because, like,
Mhm.
while I was like, I thought you were attractive, obviously, because that's the only reason why I would have swiped
Yeah.
right. And then we met and it was like, oh, like, we're actually really good friends. We were also both tops. So that was like
Yeah.
awesome.
Which I was gonna mention, right? We matched on Tinder and we met and we went on a first kind of like date of
Great.
sorts,
Yeah.
which was a very Baltimore date, mind you. Like we started at the bun shop where we grabbed coffee, and then we ended up at Fells Point, where we
Oh, we did.
yeah, one of my memories from that time specific is we were sitting on the bench, we were overlooking the water. It was very
And the
beautiful.
the family was out there doing the crabs, and you were like, and I was looking, I was like, that's so weird. And you looked at me and said, oh, this is a very Asian thing that happened.
Yeah. But no, yeah, because like they were crabbing on the inner harbor, which if any of you guys are familiar with Baltimore, it's not the kind of place that you probably should be crabbing. But that kind of like activity just seems like something like, yeah, it's like not out of the ordinary in my
It was
mind.
also like just really random. Like we were sitting there talking about life, and then this Asian family comes walking up with a bucket, and we're like, and like you're watching my face as I'm like trying to put together like exactly what's about to happen because I'm like, what are they doing? And it's like midnight, mind you. It's so
Yeah,
late.
yeah, it was also very late at night.
Oh my God, what a great, I forgot. I totally forgot about that. That is a core memory.
I say this all to say it was a really special time. And yeah, like we went on that date and at some point, maybe a couple conversations later, I think I brought it up. I was like, I think we're both tops.
Yeah.
And then but then I immediately was like, but I still want to be friends. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally down. And what that was 2018, 7 years later, here we are still.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's almost
crazy.
been a decade with you, Noel.
I know. Going back. Today's episode is called The Gays Need Friends. When I met you, um, I didn't really have many visuals of like what being gay and out in the world and having friends would look like. I had kind of resigned to the thought that I was going to be like that one queer person of color in a friend group of white gay men, which is like
Yeah.
such a common, vision. But then I met you, and then you introduced me to your entire friend group, and I was like, oh goodness, like everybody here is like a black gay man, and or just like a queer person of color, and it just gave me an idea of what my life could look like. So my question is, did you have somebody who represented you to me when you were my age at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I say like one, like I think companionship is important because you're right. Like representation for gay people is bad, especially for queer men of color. So you do kind of only see yourself like if you're not white, like a lot of the representation that we get in the media is just like the token person of color friend who hangs out with like a majority white friend group, which is fine. Like if
Yeah.
that's your cup of tea, but like that's not obviously that's not everybody's story. So when I was your age, it's funny because when I was in college, I actually did a internship at a STD clinic. And so I started working there and my first day there, the secretary was actually, she's trans. And the first day, like, I walk in and like, this is like my first engagement with a trans person, like on a personal level. She's like so bold and loud and like, she's just her. Like like the fact that she was trans was like almost like a footnote. And like, I remember her just being so confident in herself. And I was like, I like this. Like, and when I met her, I was kind of shy. I remember I met her and like once she started like, I started working there and me and her like became really close. Like we would go to lunch together. We would go to happy hour after the internship together. And she was like introducing, if you ever like the way this clinic worked, it was like kind of like a community clinic. So they, in addition to STD testing, they hosted like Vogue nights. They had like game nights, all types of stuff. So like all different types of people. I started meeting all types of people from the community, like being around her. And I don't know, like I think she really did it in a weird way. She just showed me how you could live unapologetically yourself. And that was the first time I think I saw that like you could be queer and not have to hide who you are and live normal life and have these friends and like build a whole community around yourself. So shout out to her. She taught me how to read. She taught me like how to do proper shaves. She
So
taught me
just to be clear, read as in.
Oh yeah, reading as in like how to get the girls together. Like, cause I used to, again, I was very polite. So when I first got there, like they would try me. Like the other gays who would come in, they would like say little quick stuff. And I used to be like, damn, why is everybody being so mean? She was like, and she knew it was funny because similar to our situation is like she saw something in me that I hadn't seen in myself yet. So she like knew, she was like, I know you know how to like talk, like I know you can really give it to them back, like you're being nice. And she like used to push me and be like, no, talk your shit back, like people would like you more if you like really didn't hold back. And I started like, and before I knew it, I was like, it was weird because it helped me meet, I met so many more friends. It kind of taught me how to have like an armor kind of around me. Like that's why I think like a lot of things don't hurt my feelings as much anymore. It was just like the world is going to be nasty to you. Like you have to figure out a way to live in it.
One of the things that I keep bringing up in the show is the most important things that a friend can do for you is that they make you feel safe to be yourself in the world. You know what I mean? And so that's part of what she was doing, is not just within the confines of your relationship make you feel safe to be yourself, but it's also teaching you how to navigate the world as yourself,
Totally. And as like a queer man, I think that's just something that we just, you need someone to teach you that, because you spend the first like 18 years of your life basically thinking something's wrong with you. Like, I mean, even if you have come out and you accepted the fact that you're gay, it's just that you spend a big chunk of your life understanding that you're different from everyone, and that by default a lot of people don't like you or aren't going to accept you. They're not going to be friendly to you. And if you want to be accepted by others, that you need to repress this side of you. And at a certain point, part of the queer coming of age story for I think a lot of people is reaching that point where it's just like, no, I'm going to be myself. Like I'm going to go out, I'm going to live life. That's one thing that a good friend can do for you. They can really like show you like, no, there's nothing wrong with who you are.
What was it like making friends as a young gay person, even predating your time at the clinic?
It was hard. It was hard growing up. Making gay friends was extremely hard for me because just it was hard to meet gay people. Like it was just, you didn't come across them. It took me coming up to DC, like going to cities. And I think that's like a role that like urban areas play nowadays, is that like when I came to DC, or even when I went to Richmond for college, but once I got into like these more urbanized areas, then I was able to start seeing like the spectrum. And even working at the clinic, that really showed me. I was like, oh, there's there's people from the very flamboyant to people who you would never in a million years guess are gay, to the people in between, to everything. Like you started just basically seeing like the different identities that kind of exist within queer people of color. And
the benefit of like being in like kind of a metropolitan area is that there's just like a huge mass of people from you to
exactly
from.
One more thing I'll just add to that, and this kind of goes on what you're saying, is that also like when you're in these larger areas, there's also just more spaces carved out that match your interests, where you're more likely to meet people.
How do you think your queer friendships have evolved over time?
I definitely think it's easier to make friends now. I think making friends is a skill. So I think it's something that you got to kind of have to practice. Like the more people that you meet that are the more people you meet, the better you become at meeting people. Like, just kind of putting yourself out there, introducing yourself to people, things like that. Because it can be like your first couple times, like being around, like if you're not used to being in certain spaces, your first time in those spaces, you can feel kind of awkward. Like it's like, oh, do
It's
I want to go say
overwhelming.
hi? Like it could be off. It could be scary. Like if you never, I remember the first time I went to like a black gay club, I was like, I walked in, I was like, oh my God, like what, like it can kind of feel like overload because you're just like, oh, like, are these people even nice? Like, would they want to be my friend? Like, I think that's the big thing. Like between now and then, I think back then I was a lot more guarded. So it was just like, I wouldn't put myself out there. Now it's like, I'll DM somebody who like, if me and someone are constantly tweeting and liking each other's tweets, like I'll just DM them. And like, if they're being weird and like, I'll just, okay, I just will
Yeah.
never speak to you again. Like, that's cool.
I agree. It's like the one thing about making friends when you're younger is that it can be a really sensitive process. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
put yourself out there and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, and it's just like you have to like hide away. And it takes a lot to kind of like build up that courage and the vulnerability to put yourself out again. But as you get older, it's like you try to make a friend, it didn't work out. Okay, let me try again.
Like, there's so many people out here. Yeah, I think the law of numbers really starts to apply as you get older because you're just like, there's so many people. Like, every day I'm meeting so many people. The other thing I'll say about meeting friends when you're younger is that you don't know who this person is going to grow up to be. Like right now, I'm at a point in my life now where everybody who I'm meeting is I'm 33. Most of the people I'm becoming friends with, I would say, are at the youngest, late 20s. And so they're just more like their lives are kind of like they're already on a path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like you
established.
kind of already know who this person's going to be. The thing about meeting friends when you're like 18, 19, 20, you don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
Like freshman year, you meet people and you're like, yeah, like we're friends. And then by the end of like the 4 years, you might never even talk to that person. I would have never guessed that's how this person would look 4 years later.
Right.
But it's like, now they're on their path. So that's like the other thing I think about when you're younger is that like you meet people and like your lives just diverge.
I think the biggest transition between like younger friendships and older friendships, like gay or not, is like proximity is replaced by intentionality. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I like that.
You know what I mean? Like the intention to want to maintain friendships become, so much more.
Yeah, because I mean, once you get older, like, I mean, this, like, it's like me and you are in different cities.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be intentional about maintaining these friendships, reaching out to friends, checking on your friends, carving out time for them. Understanding that like you might go a couple weeks without talking to your friends, and that's normal. That's just kind of the way the life goes.
We're going to take a break, but up next we'll be chatting about the value of queer friendships in the world. Here on Noel's Good Friends Show. Welcome back. You're here with me and Brandon on Noel's Good Friends Show. Once again, we're talking gay friendships. Do you think that the queer experience influenced the dynamics of friendship compared to heterosexual ideas of platonic relationships? So by that, I mean, do you think our experiences being queer add something different to the nature of making friends?
Well, I mean, yeah, you're looking for friends in the same pool that you're looking for partners. So I think that's already one thing. Like it's a whole different dynamic because like even from like yes, pretty privilege happens in heterosexual friendships too. There's a reason why you normally find groups of attractive men and groups of attractive women all hanging out together. So it's not like that doesn't play a role, but it definitely plays a whole different role when you're actually willing to have sex with those people. I think also the fact that most gay men like age with no children, we get married like a lot later.
If we ever do.
If ever, like, yeah, I think friendships play like a much more important role because we know like, as we age, like a lot of our, like, I think for a lot of heterosexual people, like at a certain point, like a lot of them get married or they have children and their priorities shift drastically when that happens. And it's almost like a restarting of like their life while like gay men, we kind of just stay on this one path. The whole idea of like the gay family is like, you don't have like, as you're, and like, because obviously we're also human, like our parents are aging. Our parents will eventually not be with us. Our siblings some of us have siblings, some of us don't. A lot of us come from like broken families, where like we don't feel comfortable with our cousins or brothers or sisters. We don't have great relationships with them. So I think the the like friendship is often, like, I think, a tool of survival for gay men. Like it allows us to thrive into older age, in a world where we're kind of like alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's the ways that I think the queer lifestyle, what I mean, like lends itself to unique formations of family and support that, aren't always embedded to our experience, right? Like you said, what you're describing is heterosexuals always have the ability to lean on the idea of a nuclear family as a means of forming families and ultimately like survival. But yeah, going back to like the title of the show in and of itself, like it's not just about that gays should probably have friends. It's like sometimes to have friendships as a gay man is from a point of necessity.
One thing I think about a lot is, and this, I'm the only child for
Right.
those who are watching the show. Obviously one day, like, my parents, ideally I'll outlive my parents, and so they won't be here. And I think, like, what does coming of age look like for me? Like, if I'm 50 and my parents are gone and I break a leg, like, who's gonna who do I lean on to come
Right.
and bring me food? What does that look like for me if I don't have children who I can lean on when I get into old age? If I end up like with dementia or something, like,
Yeah.
who's gonna be checking on me in the nursing home? If I live to old age, who's showing up to my funeral?
I'll be there.
Things like that. So I know, but like, and that's just something I think about when it comes to like friendships. Is just that, like, I think for gay men, it's like it is a tool of survival, and I think, and we've talked about this before. I think about the generation, maybe one or two above us, or above myself, who lived through the AIDS crisis, and like, they lost a lot of their friends, and you see those men now, and it's like that they're like, you know, I've met a lot of men from that generation who, like, almost seem like they're wandering in the wilderness because they've lost, I've met so many men who've told me, like, oh, I lost all of my friends, like, in the 90s. And since then, they've been just kind of grasping at straws, just trying to find acceptance or trying to find friendship and find companionship in older age, which, as we all know, is a lot harder.
Yeah.
Once people already have established these relationships.
What role do you think masculinity plays in gay friendships?
I mean, I think it plays a big role. I think it's, like we said before, I think it's a big reason why, why we
It's a
build
limitation
relationships the
to
way we
women.
do. Like, I think part of masculinity, because you see this with straight men too,
Yeah.
is that, like, even when they're trying to befriend women, they have a hard time befriending women a lot of times because they look at it through a sexual lens. And I think the same thing happens with gay men. A lot of times they have a hard time meeting friends because they meet people and, like, their first thing is they want to try to pursue something romantically. I think that's like a big portion. I think also tying into masculinity is like our lack of, like, being vulnerable with each other. I think as gay men, like, obviously a lot of us at least are more in touch with our feminine side. So I think we are able to, we at least recognize that you need to be vulnerable. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I
that,
mean, I think masculinity being a sort of like sorting process for people, where people kind of collude with people who are most like their presentation of masculinity. To be honest, I think what a waste, frankly.
yeah.
Like, because I think one of the great joys, at least for me, about being gay is that off rip you're already different. So like you can never really play within the rules of society. So it actually gives you all this opportunity to live your masculinity as you see fit. And so the fact that we've kind of internalized this sometimes within the gay community as a way of sorting like who is and isn't, aligned with us, I think it's what a missed opportunity to find some liberation and kind of connection with other gay men.
It's funny that you mentioned it, because what you were just saying also reminded me too, is that a lot of gays, I think, also are very, like, there's a lot of internalized homophobia, which I guess is also ties into masculinity. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, internalized homophobia, specifically femphobia, will, like, if you're gay and you have femphobia, you're really missing out on the fun part of being gay. Like, the girls are where the fun is at. Like, yeah,
I would argue liking men is like the worst part of being
it
like,
literally is the worst. Like, I'm like, what? Like the girls are the fun part. Like that's even if you're not romantically into them, they are the fun part. Like they
yeah,
are like that's who like they make the best friends. They are like
yeah,
some of the best support groups. Like the ones who are very into touch with their feminine side. And I think a lot of gay men, like I hear it all the time, like, oh, I'm not gonna be friends with no punk. I can't be friends with
yeah.
nobody who's switching. I think
There-
people box themselves out of like all these relationships because it's like you're a gay man trying to, but you only want to be friends with masculine people who are attractive, who are also attracted to the point where you want to have sex with them. Like you're
Yeah.
all these things. Maybe it's only so many people you're trying to
Yeah. A,
squeeze
it's
like
not the
just
most conducive environment for forming friends. And also, there is no greater joy as a gay man than queening out with your friends.
yes. Like
Like,
what? Like put on Drag Race. Like let's
it's the
be
best
gay. Let's
part.
watch Beyonce videos.
To me, like that the idea of like utilizing, this internalized homophobia of making us judge each other is to me the antithesis of good friendship because we are not giving ourselves permission to be ourselves. And actually the safety and the support that people extend us to be ourselves is only like one half of it actually. Like when friendship gets really deep, you're given the permission to be beyond your own imagination of yourself. Like when people create a secure base for you, we already accept you as you are. So like now that you've accepted that and you know that in your heart, now like what else could you be? You know what I mean? Good friendship is expansive. It makes us more than what we already
I
are.
mean, it allows you to be the best version of yourself. Like if you having someone that you know unconditionally loves you and unconditionally accepts you for who you are allows you to be like explore all different types of yourself. Everything from like changing your hair to like a color that you may not
Yeah.
be comfortable with or getting a haircut that you don't like to like,
Doing drag or
doing
whatever.
drag or trying out, changing your career or like anything. Like you can do, like it allows because you have somebody in your corner who's like, yeah, like I support you. I'm down. Like whatever. That's you. I'm here. No matter what happens, I'm here. Versus like when you're like constantly, there's enough people judging you out.
I don't love this idea of like gay men pitting against each other because like we have enough of the world hating us. We do not need each other to be fighting. No. What's the most important thing you've learned from your gay male friend?
Ooh. I would say being unapologetic. We've talked about this a million times, but I really think living out loud, like being unapologetically yourself, like go
Yeah.
outside and just be gay,
Might as
like be
well. You're
yourself.
already here. You're
Yeah,
already
you're
here.
already here. Like go to brunch, wear that Speedo on the beach, like go do what you want. Like you're sitting around here trying to make yourself like trying to basically play drag
Mhm.
for these straight men, and like they know
They
that
don't
you're
even
gay.
care. They don't even
Yeah,
care.
they don't even
You're not,
care,
and
and
they're clocking you.
and they're
You're
talking to
not
you either
passing.
way.
Like
It's
you're
like
not
go have
passing.
fun. Go have fun. You only got one life to live.
Dare I say it, for me, the biggest thing I've learned from my gay male friends is what it means to be a good man, frankly.
Oh,
That it doesn't have to be, I feel like I spent so much of my childhood being surveilled by straight men, constantly making me feel like there's something wrong with me. And then I got older and I met all these gay male friends who made me feel like it was okay for me to be myself, who believed in me, who trusted in me, um, who allowed me to see myself beyond my own imagination and supported me in my journey leading there when it got messy, I wasn't always together. So yes, I think the platonic ideal of being a man. What advice would you give to a gay man who is looking to build stronger platonic friendship?
one thing I'll say is one, let go of your ego. It's
Mm,
hard, but
mm,
that's like I think the number one thing when it comes to making friends. You really have to let go of that ego, and you have
yeah.
to just allow yourself to be vulnerable with people. As you go about trying to meet platonic friends, you're going to come across a lot of nasty people. There's a lot of nasty
Mhm.
spirits in this community. Listen, I'm not even going to hold you. There are some nasty people, and you're going to come across a lot of them. And you're going to come across people who just don't want to make any new friends. Like there are people who
Yeah.
feel like I got my friends, I'm good, and it's going to be a process. But it's worth it. Like it's the effort is definitely worth the reward. And just look outside of your box. Like I think a lot of people, again, I think box the type of friends they're looking for into often with gay men, like the same type of men that they're attracted to.
Mm,
And
mhm.
you don't need to do that. You could be attracted to 6'6" strong, athletic, gym built guys, and all your friends could, smoke weed and be short and stubby. Like it
Yeah.
like, or vice versa. You get what I mean. That's probably
The two
probably
gays, the two genders of gay, 6'6" athletic male or short potheads. These are your two choices, gay men everywhere. So pick
in my head. I
well.
had two pills. No, but like, yeah, I mean, it's you can be friends with, like, I know so many people who are friends with. I mean, you know me, I hang out with a bunch of verses and bottoms. Well, I guess those would be people I'm attracted to. So never mind. I guess that okay, scratch that part. But
Yeah, the rush.
find friends that like to do the stuff that you like to do. It's okay if they have other hobbies, but I think that's what the other place that people be getting stuff messed up. Like, if you know you're someone who likes to go out and drink, don't go make friends with people who only like to go and do fitness stuff. If you're not a gym girl, do not become friends with gym girls. Because you're gonna gag when all they want to do is go work out and then go eat very, very clean, healthy food. If you know that's not your type of tea, I've done it before, and it's traumatizing. You do not want to eat tofu and broccoli and be going to the gym all the time. It's like I want to go to happy hour. Oh, we can't. Oh, I'm already at my caloric intake for the day. Excuse me. No.
For me, my advice to any gay man looking to build platonic friendships, I say, there's a lot of maybe fear and anxiety around like trying to form friendships because, you can hear about like nasty gays out there, but there's good gays out there. I think I just want to like really make that clear that there's good gays everywhere, and they want to make friends too. And so I think being discerning and like knowing enough about yourself to know the kind of people that you would align with, and sticking to your guns, but also having a little bit of grace for the nuances that each person brings.
Grace is really important because I think right now we're in such a culture and society where it's like, if someone doesn't see things the way that you see it, like there's a lot of like moral absolutism, I guess is the word I'm thinking about. And I think it's very important for us to understand that we all come from different backgrounds. We've all experienced different things that got us to where we're at right now. You're not going to align with this person 100%. And you don't really need to. Like, they're not your partner. They're your friend.
I like to end the show usually with like a very whimsical question. So my last question to you is, if we both weren't gay, do you think we'd still be friends?
So yes and no.
Yeah.
So I think, had we met,
yeah,
because that's the thing. If we were gay, we would have never met. How we met. Because I can't imagine how we would have met in the straight world.
Like, the things that have made us who we are is so intrinsically tied to the fact that we're queer. So it's almost like, I mean, if we weren't gay, would we be Noel and Brandon?
Yeah, like I'm about to say, like it would. It's. I don't know. It's almost like a.
It's like a philosophical kind of like.
Yeah, it's so like up in the air.
Yeah.
I think because I don't know what kind of person would I be if I was straight. Yeah, like you're right. Like that goes back to like, I mean, would I have been married with a kid by now? I think the interesting part about being queer is that you do interact with all these people that you would never have met, like in any other timeline. Like it's like,
yeah,
being other, you find all these others.
Yeah, I say this all to say, I'm very grateful to be in this timeline, and very grateful that you are my friend. But thank you, thank you, Brandon, for joining me today. I quite literally cannot imagine my life without you. Seriously.
Oh, same. This was great.
So tell the people where they can find you if you want them to find you, or a little bit of a sign up.
I'm on Tinder. No, I'm joking.
If you are currently bottoming for Brandon right now, he is on Tinder. Do not believe anything he says.
No. I am. You can follow me on. I'm Rowdy BT on everything. ROWDY BT on like Instagram, TikTok. Twitter, Snapchat. If you type in Rowdy BT, you'll find
him. All right. And to anyone listening or watching at home, I'm your host, Noel. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and thank you so much for being a good friend. Again, this is Noel's Good Friend Show. Till next time.
See you then.